Good morning, my name is Donaire. Together with Juan Gavilanes and Rafael Hernandez, we are going to explain a preview of our research on the influence of the Mediterranean courtyard on the efficiency of houses. Thank you very much. Climate change is the main threat against which today's society must protect itself and fight. The scarcity of natural and energy resources is a fact. Every time it's more necessary the use of passive systems to regulate temperature. This research is based on a historical journey through the evolution of the courtyard and an analysis of its behavior in different climates as a generator of microclimates in resident architecture, recovering it and focusing on its present and future projection. There are numerous studies that affirm that the courtyard influences the creation of microclimates that affect both the thermal comfort and the energy saving on their homes. Currently, numerous courtyard simulation has been carried out thanks to the use of technology using different parameters, ventilation, humidity, lighting, etc., in order to design the ideal courtyard. The ideal courtyard is the result of carrying out a climate study on the environment where the building is located. The optimal levels of comfort for its inhabitants can be calculated, intervening both in the existing courtyard and in new courtyard, turning them into the engine and center of a generation of a microclimate that is related to its surrounding to provide us with the desired conditions inside the houses, using for this the use of home automation and renewable energies. Throughout history, it has been influenced by parameters of geographical location and climatic conditions. The courtyard has been changing its shape, circular, orthogonal, irregular, etc., and its size, but always keeping a proportion respect to the building that surround it. Over time and the growth of the building's its height, the courtyard for light has been modifying the proportion, coming to present itself in many cases as a ventilation courtyard. It has been shown that the ratio between the height of the building and the proportion of the courtyard is another factor to take into account in its design, and that it therefore affects the microclimate of the courtyard and the thermal comfort in the building. Traditional architecture appears as a response to needs for protection of the human beings. This protection refers both to external agents such as animals or even other humans as well as climatic agents. We find therefore the refuge. Also, some books refer to India, Egypt, or Mesopotamia as the place where the concept of the courtyard house has born. They are only known in Greece and Rome. Many consider it the first architectural invention of humanity that spread in ancient times through the Mediterranean countries and that also went to America already in the Renaissance at the hands of the Spanish and the Portuguese. Both in Greek houses and in Roman ones, the courtyard was a perfect invention, which brought air, light and sun inside the house without it needing to open the outside more than for a door, thus avoiding attacks and robberies. The courtyard then centralizes everything and also becomes the main room of the house outdoors. In the hot climates in which it is born and spread, this question becomes fundamental. The courtyard is like a center of house, personal and perfect. They didn't usually place the windows facing the street for security reasons, so the rooms were illuminated through halls or galleries that indirectly received the necessary light in that type of climate. Its success from the beginning until today has been to accept it as an excellent architectural element in the face to different climate behavior. The courtyard house was first introduced to North America by the Spanish around 1895. The new settlers began to revive the Spanish colonial architectural style and built many of their large houses with courtyards. The Robert House is an example of a Spanish colonial revival house designed by architect William Templeton Johnson in Coronado, California. Some architects began to develop their own more modern architecture, but continued to use some elements of Spanish colonial architecture, such as the courtyard. The main pioneers were the Green brothers, Irving Gill and Rudolph Schiller. In 1903, he designed his first courtyard houses for Arturo Bandini in California. The floor plan was organized in a U shape around a large square courtyard and a pergola with a light wood structure and a tiled roof, giving it a more Japanese than the Spanish appearance. Another architect who designed houses with great European influence was the Austrian-born American Rudolf Schiller. Rudolf Schiller's work in California shows great European influence. He was educated in Vienna and emigrated to United States in 1914. He toured the Southwest in 1950 and was greatly impressed by the adobe architecture, uneven walls, flat roofs, and the courtyard. The Schiller resident in Hollywood was these same elements, but used them to achieve a new spatial complexity. The use that Schiller and other architects such as Frank Lloyd Wright give to the courtyard totally different from the use of Spanish colonial revivals. The first use of the courtyard by Le Corbusier was very intense and interesting, but in some way also virtual or figurative, we could say. These are projects for large blocks or flats known as inmuebles villas. After his visit to Charterhouse in Italy, he was fascinated by the cells of the Carthusians, some L-shaped courtyard houses with several rooms, a private chapel, often or two levels, opening onto a courtyard private, closed to the outside by the wall. It is a shape quite similar to the Roman domus. The concept of creating small private paradise was what led him to organize this space in height which he captured the Inmuebles Villa. The old Carthusian courtyard is reflected in his project as a large two-story terrace. The courtyard was a private paradise that should also take into account the views and the connection with its surroundings. On the other hand, the Villa Savoye, which in addition of being a very unique house and that complies with the principles that the author considered typical of modern architecture on its first floor, adopts an L shape, has its arrayed around a terrace courtyard that turned out to be the central and main space of the house. Alvarado, together with Ennio Merci, made a revolutionary courtyard house known as Villa MARÍA. C-shaped courtyard house, it defined the exterior space with the shape of its floor plan, leaving it open to the landscape, enhancing and incorporating it into architectural composition. The courtyard appears as a protagonist of the house, organizing an extraordinary open house without losing their closing conditions, totally adapt to its context. In our article, we explain different kinds of courtyard houses and the difference between they for explain the influence of Spanish courtyard and how it has been evolution through the time. Many current courtyard houses design derive from the modern courtyard houses without regard to functional criteria. The current courtyard houses differ from the traditional Mediterranean courtyard houses in that they have been protected in northern places, where this type of architecture has not vernacular since it did not respond to its climate conditions. It could be necessary to differentiate how these elements work, depending on its climate context. Hot and dry climates, the coated house should avoid direct sunlight. They must be small, with high walls covering elements such as eaves and the presence of vegetation or sheets or water. It's also it is also essential to create ventilation currents for cooling. In addition, it is effective to be part of the urban plot or similar terrace house. This way, your exposure to the sun is reduced by having fewer exposed vertical surfaces. Currently, we are losing the connection between the courtyard and the climate condition. This can affect to the interior condition and the habitability for the humans. There are many research that study the difference between some courtyard houses in different parts of the world. They compare using software and they make some simulation to study how the climate affects to the courtyard and how the courtyard affects to the house.